nothing mean, but some of you look a little tired. And some of you look weary and stressed. Can I help with that? Could I read to you tonight? Help you relax and get ready for sleep. We have the chicken soup for the soul. Angels all around. 101 inspirational stories of miracles, divine intervention, and answered prayers by Amy Newmark. What do you think? You up for it? Awesome. Oh wait, I see some new people. Hi, my new people. Thank you guys so much for giving me a chance and for being here. And if you like what you see, please feel free to comment on it. I love interacting with you. You can also like it or share it. But most of all, please hit that subscribe button below, please. And my returning people, I love you guys. Thank you so much for always being here for me. And please, please keep those comments coming. I absolutely love them. So I know Auntie Angel's number one rule: if you're trying to relax or go to sleep, no lit candles. And I have a woodwick candle lit and making that nice crackle sound. I'm not going to sleep. You guys don't do it though, okay? And that's the first thing we should do, is get your lighting exactly how you like it. Dark or light, and when I read these books for the new people, there's no illustrations in these ones, so you don't even have to look at the screen. You can just wear a sleep mask if you want, okay? Use electric candles, those are great. Just no lit candles, okay? Not if you're trying to sleep. You guys are way too important to me. You really are. You are, and you are, and you are, and you are. All of you are. So, then get yourself someplace comfy. Whether it's a bed, a couch, a chair, a chaise, a hammock, cushions on the floor, whatever it is, be comfortable. Really sink into it. You know, that's important. I want you guys to be as comfortable as possible. All right, now let's do our breathing. And for those of you that are new, we do this breathing exercise whenever we want to relax, rest, which is also sleep, calm ourselves, or when life is just chaotic and we need that ever feel alone, there's always someone to turn to. It is the guardian angel who is watching over you. My dad had warned me not to go to work, but at 17, I knew it all. So, despite the weather reports, I ignored him and every meteorologist, and I left to travel the 3 miles to my first real job. The going was fine, and then the weather began to change abruptly. My supervisor decided to close up the shop and send us home early for safety's sake. I could have called my dad. He would have gladly come to pick me up, and the return trip home would likely have included hot chocolate and corn muffins at the diner. But when you're 17, you know it all. I started the car and worked a good 20 minutes scraping the ice from the windows of my 11-year-old jalopy. The rear defroster wouldn't defrost. The wipers were frozen in the upright position. I should have called my dad. I eased out of the parking lot and skidded gracefully into the main road. It looked awfully deserted. Snow was blowing sideways, so visibility was near zero, just as the weather forecast had predicted. I rolled down my driver's side window and I hung my head outside to locate the lines on the road. There were none. I turned down what I thought was a familiar street, but I had already lost my bearings. My car shimmied and fishtailed, turned slightly sideways, and then landed on the wrong side of the road. I tried to back up. I tried to go forward. My tires would have none of it. I needed to call my dad, but this was before cell phones, so I couldn't. Naturally, I didn't cry easily, but I was sobbing. I left the engine running because I was afraid I'd freeze to death. I figured a police car or a snowplow would be by any second, and I would be rescued. Then I realized with dread that I had gone down the road leading to an old abandoned factory. There were no streetlights. There were no houses. There was no through traffic. The radio was issuing warnings to stay off the road. It was too late for me to stay off them. I had seen enough buried alive movies to know that I shouldn't stay in the car, but also enough scary movies to know the result could be disastrous if I ventured outside. I hoped I wasn't getting delirious and starting to hallucinate, because I swear I heard a rap on the window. I huddled down low in my seat and blasted the heat. The rap grew louder. I put my hands over my ears. "Young lady, are you all right?" Someone was trying to pry open my door. I was too scared to move. Then I screamed, and I must have scared him because he backed away. A flashlight shone onto my dashboard and then back upon the stranger's face. "I'm Bernard Schaefer. I live on Livingston Place. I was driving home when I saw your headlights beam through the trees. We have to get you out of here." Prying open the door, he yanked me into the snowbank and then scooped me up into his pickup truck. I was shivering and I couldn't talk, although I do remember feeling grateful. Mr. Schaefer never asked for my address. Within minutes, we were parked in front of my house, and my dad came racing out. He hugged me so hard, and then he yelled at me. "I told you it was too dangerous to go to work." But I was only 17, and I knew everything. When we turned around to thank Mr. Schaefer and invite him in to thaw out, he was gone. The next day, my dad and I drove to Livingston Place and searched until we found a mailbox marked Schaefer. We knocked at the door, and a young gentleman answered. "Hi, we're looking for Bernard Schaefer. My daughter and I wanted to thank him for his heroic efforts last night. If it weren't for him, I don't know what might have happened." "I think you're mistaken," the young man replied. "My grandfather Bernard died more than 3 years ago." I've never seen my father cry until then. Sometimes in life, not everything makes sense. And maybe it's not supposed to. Lisa LaShaw. Well, that gave me shivers. Okay, let's find another one. How about, I think, Heeding the Angel. And this one, the quote is by Anton Chekhov. We shall find peace, we shall hear angels, we shall see the sky sparkling with diamonds. The grumpy old man in room 1143. That's how most people describe Mr. Wolf. He was wheelchair bound from a stroke. His deeply wrinkled face was painted with a permanent scowl, buried beneath a messy gray beard. His dull blue eyes squinted through thick lenses. When he wasn't complaining, he was grumbling. According to his chart, he had no family and no church affiliations. No one came to visit, and his contact person was listed as the nursing home. When the staff offered a cheerful good morning, his response was always the same. What's so good about it? If we wished him sweet dreams at bedtime, his response was always the same. Never have 'em. Eventually, we got used to Mr. Wolf. He would venture out of his room on occasion, but only so he could find more things to complain about. I would often hear him say, "My food's cold, the pudding's runny, my coffee's too hot, it's drafty in here, the sun's too bright, the music's too loud." Mr. Wolf wasn't a mean-spirited person. He was just miserable, and we didn't know why. Mr. Wolf's medical chart offered very few clues. When volunteers tried to engage him in conversation, or the recreational staff tried to enlist him in an activity, he would grunt and dismiss them with a wave of his hand. He was essentially an enigma, and obviously wanted to stay that way. We respected his privacy, accepting his predictable moans, groans, and daily complaints. Loving Mr. Wolf was a challenge, but he became very endearing to many of us who cared for him. Can you hold on just 1 second? Thank you. Okay, they're done. Maybe some of us saw a little of ourselves in Mr. Wolf, or maybe it was empathy, but not even a brightly lit Christmas tree or a hug from a staff member could bring a smile to his face. Early one morning during nursing rounds, I overheard one of the nursing assistants call a cheery "Good morning" to Mr. Wolf. I smiled in anticipation, expecting to hear his usual reply. But to my surprise, he replied with a cheerful "Good morning." I was a little startled and not sure what I had heard. It didn't take long for the nursing assistant to come hastily out of his room with a surprised expression. His behavior that day continued to be curious. He wheeled himself up and down the hallway, patting people on the back and apologizing or offering words of comfort. He told the nurses how pretty they looked and even told the cafeteria staff that the food was excellent. He said good day and goodbye to people coming and going, and he wore a smile for the very first time. He even allowed the nursing student to shave his beard. He actually had a very nice face, and his blue eyes popped with excitement. It was an amazing transformation. I know where this is going. He told the nursing assistant and a few other people that he had had a visit from an angel during the night. The angel had told him that today would be his last day on earth, and he should get things in order. It became the topic of discussion throughout the day. Some people said he was too mean and grumpy to be visited by an angel. Other people surmised, like me, that it was a dream or maybe a shadow he saw from the moonlight. Some said it was early dementia, but most of the staff laughed, stating that tomorrow he'd be back to his old grumpy self. But today he was smiling. It was the first time I had seen his face light up with contentment and peace. I was hoping that he would stay pleasant and agreeable in the days to follow. The next morning was typical at the nursing home. Staff rushing from one room to the next, getting residents up for breakfast and passing out medications. Everyone hadn't forgotten about Mr. Wolf's prediction the day before. When the nursing assistant walked into Mr. Wolf's room, she offered a pleasant greeting, expecting to hear a grouchy response. However, sometime during the night, Mr. Wolf had passed away peacefully in his sleep. He was right. He told us the previous day would be his last on earth, and it was. How did he know? Did a celestial being, a divine messenger, actually come and tell him that he was going to die the next day? Whatever occurred, I was grateful for Mr. Wolf's angel. I had the blessing of sharing his last day with him, to see him smile and to know he was going to be happy in his next life. His angel encounter wasn't just for him, it was for me as well. Dana D. Snerner, RN. Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you a wee story myself. This one speaks directly to me. My mother went into the hospital on June the 13th, 2017, with what we thought was pneumonia. My brother had called me and said she was there, so I went to the emergency room, and I found the room she was in, and my first thought was how small she looked, how old and tired. And while we were waiting, the doctor came in and said, "We're going to keep you. We saw something on the x-ray of your lungs." And I said to them, "What did you see?" And he said, "It was cloudy, so we're going to do some more tests." Okay. Now, I'm telling everyone, pneumonia can be tricky to diagnose, especially in seniors and things. And my mother hadn't smoked for 35 years. So it wasn't anything I was worried about. But I knew in my heart, as soon as I heard the word. Sure enough, it was stage 4 lung cancer, the bad kind. And they told us that if she didn't do chemo right away, she had 5 weeks. But they were hoping with the chemo, they could give her a year or 2. We take it. She started the chemo that day. And things went on for 5 weeks. She was allowed to come home for one of those weeks. And when she went back in to start her second round of chemo, the doctor looked at the test results, looked at my mom, and they both agreed to stop the chemo and to set her up in a palliative room. We had a lot of great talks. My mother was at peace, absolutely at peace with dying. Wasn't looking forward to it, but she was at peace with it. And we were able to say all the things you want to say and do. And she asked me to make her promise that I would help her have a beautiful death. So my brother and I hung up pictures of everyone. We played music around the clock for her. I always made sure I snuck in Pepsi for her in the room. And she was allowed it, but she just thought it was better if I snuck in it. And there was a Tim Hortons at the basement of the hospital. And my brother would stop every day and get her 2 Timbits, which are just the donut holes, powdered sugar, with raspberry inside. Those were her faves. So they were telling us that she still had lots of time. So I was doing mornings, my brother was doing afternoons. I promise this is a nice story, even though it doesn't end happily, but it is nice. And I walked in and she said, "Where's your brother?" I said, "He's coming this afternoon. It's me this morning." And she said, "Get him. I'm going." I said, "Where are you going?" She goes, "Your dad was here. My father had died 13 years before." She goes, "Your father was here. I'm going with him today." I said, "You are you?" And then she did this. "Get him. You don't ignore that finger." I knew that from childhood. I got him. I called. Well, first I went out and asked the nurse. I said, what's going on? And she goes, well, to be honest, last night your mother asked for pain medication. My mother never asked for pain medication, ever. I said, okay, could this be the result of pain meds? She said, I think she knows something the rest of us don't. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. But I still asked my brother to come in. And I could see her deteriorating throughout the day. She wanted more than anything to see her sister one last time. The grandkids had been in to visit and everything. She saw her sister and she went into a coma. And my brother and I sat with her that night. We have dark Irish humor, okay? At 11:59 p.m., we looked at her, we looked at the clock. When the clock hit midnight and it became the next day, we both went, ha, you were wrong. 5 o'clock that morning, she was right. She passed peacefully. Now, I know it's a sad ending, but we gave her the beautiful death she wanted. It wasn't full of machines and sounds. It was peaceful and quiet. Even though I held that woman's hand for 22 hours, and when I left the room for 5 minutes, she passed. But the nurse told me that. She said that happens all the time. Now, do I believe that my father visited my mother and told her? Yes, I do. Do I believe that she didn't need to hold my hand because there was an angel holding her hand? Yes, I do. So yeah, do I believe in angels? I do. And I believe that we all get the opportunity to be angels on earth. I really do. So I hope this helps you all to fall asleep. It really is meant to be a happy story. It really is. And always remember, I love you, I value you, I honor you, and I'm so very, very glad that you were born.